Okay. So we're working on upper body today. We're going to do some stuff for like our mid and upper back. We're going to do some stuff for our shoulders. And we're just going to sneak in one or two lower body things in between. But what we're going to start out with is our scorpion stretch. So maybe I'll just tilt this down a little bit so you guys have a bit of a better view. With our scorpion stretch, we're trying to get like a diagonal line stretch here if we can. So we'll feel the stretch through our chest and through the opposite front side of whatever hip that we're working. We're going to spend about a minute in this stretch. So I just want to have a little timer here going for you guys so I can time it. But what we'll do is we'll be lying down on our stomach. We're going to reach an arm out to the side and we'll just try to twist the arm open a little bit. From there, we'll try to just gently tuck our hip. So we're thinking about trying to roll the tail between the legs. And we feel our low back flattening out. From there, my right arm is reaching out. So I'm going to just swing my left leg. I'll keep it straight and I'll just bring it kind of to the side. I feel just a little bit of a stretch coming on through my chest. And again, I'm going to use my breathing. So I'm inhaling through nose. And I'm exhaling out mouth. When I inhale through the nose, I feel the stretch get stronger through my chest and through the front side of my reaching leg. And as I exhale, I find some ease in that position. You can keep gently trying to twist your shoulder open. You can kind of try to keep your chin almost packed into your neck a little bit. And you can give your butt a little squeeze to help pull that straight leg further backwards. Big inhale. Big exhale. Big inhale. Big exhale. And then we'll switch sides. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So from center line, we'll just twist the shoulder backwards. So we're thinking about rotating bicep behind us. We'll tuck the tail a little bit so we feel low back flattening out. And then we'll reach straight leg across. So opposite leg. Left arm is stretched right now, so my right leg is reaching. If you're stretching your right arm, your left leg is reaching. Big inhale. And exhale. Big inhale. Big exhale. Continuing to try to roll your shoulder backwards. Continuing to try to tuck the tail between the legs. Keep reaching gently, that straight leg. Hopefully you're feeling that diagonal stretch from shoulder to opposite front of hip. Good. You guys can come on out of that one. We're just going to work our shoulders for a second here. So we're thinking about like this straight axis coming perpendicularly off the line of our body. We're going to be rotating our arms in either direction. And while we do this, we can still think about trying to do that little hip roll that's going to kind of flatten out the lower back and maybe just trying to lift the chest a little bit or making it proud. So I'll do this one just facing this way as well. I'm lying down on my stomach. I'm going to find some length through the low back, tucking the tail. I feel my abs kind of getting tight. And I'm going to spiral from my fingertips. I'm going to rotate thumbs backwards. And that rotation moves up my arm right into my shoulder. Again, starting at the fingers, I'm going to rotate the other way. So I'm going to turn my thumbs down. And that twist moves up my arm, my elbow, my bicep right into my shoulder. I'm just gently going backwards and forwards slowly. And at the same time, I'm just trying to lift my arms further and further away from the floor, just to challenge strength of my shoulders a little bit more. You can keep them flat on the floor if you like. And if they don't really seem to want to lift off the ground, that's totally fine. Still breathing. Big inhales. Big exhales. Try to hold the shoulders down away from the ears. Try not to let them shrug up. One more circle each direction, one more rotation. Good job, you guys. So then you can come on out of that. For this next one here, if you guys have access to like a wall, then awesome. If you have access to like a coffee table, I'm just gonna use my, my little TV unit here, my TV stand. No big deal though, you guys could just go to a tabletop position if you wanted to, but we're gonna try to move our back, kind of like that whip or that wave. So I think this angle should be good. I'm just gonna go into a little stretch. So I feel some length coming into the back of my legs, and I feel a little bit of a stretch through my shoulder line. Again, you guys could just be on hands and knees, and that's totally fine. This is just a little bonus here if you guys have it available to you, or you could be sticking your hands against the wall. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start at my hip, and I'm just gonna gently roll my tail between my legs and my lower back rounds, and then my mid back rounds, my upper back rounds, and then I tuck my chin to my chest and I have rounding through my neck. And then again, we'll start at the tail. We'll pull the tail out from between the legs. Lower back arches, it's dropping towards the floor. Mid back, and then upper back arching. So we're just gonna rep this out for 2 minutes. And we're just trying to work that spine. So again, our focus today is mostly our upper back, our shoulders, but we'll still get a little bit of a teaser through the lower back, through the hips, while we go through this stuff. Again, really trying to breathe. Big inhales through nose. They last around 4 or 5 seconds. Exhales through the mouth are lasting around 4 to 8 seconds. Really try to think about the spots through your spine that are hard to connect to. So maybe you have some trouble trying to round your lower back, or maybe you have some trouble trying to arch your upper back or your lower back. It could go either way. The stuff that you find is really challenging to get moving, just try to focus on that stuff. Really try to use actively when you're rounding everything. So tucking the tailbone, notice that your abs really start to turn on to squeeze and push your spine up to the ceiling. And muscles of your ribs, your chest are really squeezing along with the front side of your neck to round that mid, upper back and neck. And then really try to connect to the muscles of your lower back that arch it, and muscles of your mid and upper back that start to arch it as well. And actively from those muscles, try to pull yourself into the stretch. Still breathing. One more rep each way. Nice, good, you guys. So we'll just go back to the floor now. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna work on some ability for our spine to rotate. We really wanna try to make this come from our ribs, but without the hips moving. So we'll point this down just a little bit more. So here's gonna be our setup. If you guys have, if you guys happen to have like a block or anything like that to put between your knees, you can totally use that right now. It's not necessary. It's not gonna like make or break this, but it just helps to set the hips a little bit more. But otherwise it's fine just to have your knees together. I've just got a couple little mini pillows here I'm gonna put in between my knees. And otherwise I've got my knees bent 90 degrees, my knees up in line with my hip, my arms are reaching straight out in front of me. I can try to pull my belly button into my spine and hollow out the front side of my body, where I feel my low back again lengthening or pushing to the wall behind me. And from here, I'm just going to rotate from the ribs open. As I'm rotating to the right side, I'm trying to reach my right knee the other way to the opposite wall. And that's where I can get a really good stretch or a lot of rotation through the full length of my spine. We're just gonna breathe here for 1 minute. While you guys are here, remember we were doing those rotations through the arm and the shoulder. So maybe you're just trying to twist the arm backwards. That's external rotation. Again, we're just breathing here. We're just staying in this position. Big inhale. On the exhale, notice you start to get your shoulder blade a little bit flatter to the floor. If it already is, that's awesome. You've got lots of rotation through your ribs. That's really good. If your shoulder is like mine and it's suspended up in the air, then again, just be really mindful. Big inhale. Resist its urge to rise. And on the exhale, try to drop down a little bit more. Don't forget about that other leg. Keep reaching it. Big inhale. Big exhale, keep the stomach hollow, get a little bit deeper to the floor. One more big inhale. Big exhale. Good. So we're just gonna add a little bit more motion to that now. So as again saying that we move from passive to an active. So here's what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw a big circle with our arm, and at the same time, we'll put that rotation through our spine. So we'll reach the arm the whole time. You could always play around with trying to twist it out just a little bit and actively really pulling myself towards the floor. I do full sweep of the clock back to center. And then I'm gonna do that in reverse. I'll bring the arm down. I'll really reach it back behind me. I'll try to get both shoulder blades a little bit flatter to the floor. And I come full circle to where I started. You can go as slow or as fast as you want. We're just kind of working for time here. So no worries about how many times you do this. Just really trying to feel your body gently, but actively pulling yourself through that range of motion. Arm is sweeping down. I can challenge a little bit of stretch to the front side of my shoulder while it reaches behind me. And then I can help it by trying to pull shoulder blades flat to the floor as I follow through. I'm going to get one more full rep in here. Big sweep. Working backside. And then big sweep. Coming back front side. Cool. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we'll start out with our stretch for about a minute, and then we'll go through a couple of those active rotations. So as I drop down here again, my knees are bent 90 degrees and my knees are up in line with my hips. So I'm in almost like fetal position. I've got that pillow between the knees. If not, no big deal. You guys don't have to have it. And I'm just going to gently rotate myself open and start my breathing. Think about it at the same time. You guys could be just trying to kind of walk your floor shoulder away or towards that reaching knee. Well, you're pulling the other shoulder into the floor. So you can kind of thread a needle through the floor to try to increase that rotation a little bit. Big breathing or big breaths. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, try to bleed out the air. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Same tempo again. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Notice while you're inhaling, if your body is kind of stuttering, then you're really, really deep in that stretch, and maybe you want to come out of it just a little bit. Notice how getting deeper into these stretches really affects what your breathing was like from when we first started and we just played around with breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. We're going to transition to our windmills versus now as you're actually in a lot of these stretches, how challenging it might be. If your breath is really stuttered, if you can barely take an inhale, if your exhale is really fast, it's not a bad thing, but maybe you want to come out of the stretch just a little bit and go back to what we talked about at the very start. We were saying at the beginning of this that we're thinking about trying to let our inhales guide us into a deeper stretch, and our exhales allowing us to just find some comfort or ease in those stretches. And that's so important as well, you guys. We were saying that breathing really gives us a calming response to the body. Natural instinct of the body is for the muscles to just tighten up if we're not staying calm. So if our muscles are too tight, we're trying to stretch them, we're just not really going anywhere. It's kind of counterproductive. The next thing that we're going to do here is, it's a good one. If you have that little like yoga block that you could sit on or a little stool or anything like that, you're more than welcome. If you're finding that sitting in this position is really uncomfortable or it's distracting you from the work we're going to do on our shoulder blades, you don't have to do it. You could easily just sit cross-legged. You could stand yourself up if you're tired of being on the floor. But what we'll do is we're going to go into this bear sit position. So we're just going to pull our legs out as wide as we can. Sadly, this is as wide as I can go. And then we're going to twist our legs outwards, like we're trying to get the outsides of them flat to the floor. We keep them wide, we keep them twisted out, and we'll just start trying to pull them towards us a little bit. So I'm trying to sit kind of like a bear. I don't know. Apparently, this is how bears sit. I believe it. Here we go. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to move our shoulder blades in like a square. So we're going to lift our shoulder blades up. We're going to pull them backwards. We're going to hold them backwards and pull them down. We're going to hold them down and reach them in front of us. We'll lift them up. My arms are kind of like 45 degrees off the line of my body. We'll pull them backwards and we'll pull them down. And we're just, again, repping this out as slow or as fast as you want. But we're going for a full minute here, so it's up to you. If you can, try not to forget about really challenging. You feel your butt muscles really working to try to pry your legs open, and you feel just like a gentle stretch happening through the groin while you do this. So we might as well just try to get a little bit more range of motion through the legs while we work our shoulders. And now what we're going to do is we're going to reverse it. So you're just going to go the opposite direction. So for me, I'm going to lift my shoulders up. I'm going to reach them out front of me. I'm going to hold them reached out and try to pull them down. I'm going to keep pulling them down and pull them backwards, pinching my spine. I'm going to lift up, pinching my spine, and I'm going to reach forwards, and I'm going to pull down. And try to notice if your elbow starts to bend on either or both arms while you're doing this. Try to avoid them bending. Also try to notice, does your arm move congruently with your shoulder, or is your shoulders moving around or your arms kind of swinging all over the place? I'm so shy to try and make jokes here with you guys because I can't tell if anybody's really laughing or not. I can't see you on my screen. So I don't know if you guys are enjoying it or not. I'm also sweating my face off right now, so I feel like it's hard enough to talk and act. Okay, we'll give that a little break, you guys. You did a really good job. So same thing here. We're going to try to just do a little stretch while working some more of our shoulders. Again, if you guys are not feeling comfortable in the stretch, it's not super important. Our focus right now is our shoulders. But if you are able to pull it off, awesome. We're just being a little bit more efficient with our use of time. So I'm going to go to that 90-90 position. So I have my front leg bent 90 degrees, and I have my back leg bent 90 degrees. I'm basically trying to get my hip and shin, or thigh and shin, pardon me, in line with each other. You could also bring them in tight and get your foot right against your thigh, and then you could bring that heel a bit closer to your butt if you like. Again, it's not necessary. But from that 90-90 position, we're just going to try to drop that back butt cheek that might be off the floor right now. We're going to try to let it drop to the ground so you feel like a little bit of a stretch happening through the sort of inside and or underside of that trail leg or that trail hip. Remember at the start we did those little rotations with our arms? So we're going to combo that with like that big circle that we drew in those sideline windmills. So here's how it's going to work. We're just going to go for time again. Doesn't matter how many reps you do. We're going to try to spiral the arm outwards, and we'll pull it across our body. Keep it tight to the ear. Pull it as far backwards as you can. Can't go any further backwards. So spiral in and continue on that circle where you're trying to pull it backwards as much as you can. And then it drops down to the floor behind you. Keep it twisted in and reverse it. Pull it backwards. Try to keep it tight to your body. It won't go any further backwards. So you spiral outwards again, and the arm comes front side. If you can, keep that gentle stretch to the back side of the hip. Again, I'm spiraling out, from my thumb through my forearm, elbow, bicep into my shoulder. I can't pull any further backwards, so I spiral thumb in, forearm, elbow, bicep, shoulder in, and I reach back. Do one more returning, spiraling out, and rotating back to front side. Cool, you guys. Do the same thing on the other side, setting up in that 90 and 90 position and that little stretch. You could just be cross-legged. You could go to a lunge if you wanted to. Not a big deal. So same thing here. I can find just that little bit of a stretch through backside or back hip. I'm going to turn the thumb out, forearm, elbow, bicep, shoulder out. Keep it as tight to my body as I can. We're trying not to let it go sideways, so we just keep pulling it tight to the body, spiraling in, and again, reaching to the opposite side. Try to pull it straight back, almost like a dip or a push-up, and then twist out. Keep pulling it backwards while it comes front side. And one more rep going each direction. So we'll reach back behind us. I spiral in, keep going behind, and coming back. Nice, good job, you guys. Sweet. So, moving along. We're gonna do a little bit of work for our back. Basically, the bottom of our rib cage, right up through our shoulder line and into our neck a little bit. We're going to work at our ability to extend through the back. When you guys are doing this, try to be mindful that what's really important, a really common thing to happen to people when they're trying to do this, someone like myself, is that low back to really arch. So you can see a big scoop in the lower back, but we actually want to keep the tail tucked. And as I tuck my tail, notice my low back flattens out. And I want all of that extension or that arching to come from my upper back. So just kind of try to listen to that when we do these, this next little sequence here. We're gonna lie down. Tuck my tail, I feel my abs engaging, and I'll start lifting myself up away from the floor and just gliding my elbows towards my shoulder line. If you guys are like Gumby, then sick, good for you. You can bring your elbows like right under your shoulders. For me, I'm just feeling too much pressure in my low back, so I'm gonna reach out. Oh, sweet, you guys got it. Sorry, one shake, I'm having technical difficulties on my end. Oh, I think it might be all good. I'll just roll with it. I just can't see myself on the screen anymore. No biggie. Okay, so from this little stretch position, what I want you guys to do is just try to gently settle into that stretch. So just keep trying to tuck your tail between your legs. Keep your abs just gently squeezing to keep your low back from buckling too much. And just slowly start trying to pull from like your sternum or your upper ribs up and away from the floor. Try not to let the shoulders shrug, so keep them down and back. And especially here with your breathing. Big inhales. Big exhales. Big inhales. Big exhales. I want you guys to just keep doing your breathing. I'm going to talk to you for a second while you're holding this stretch. At the beginning of this, we were talking about the difference between active and passive ranges of motion. So right now we're passively doing a back bend, but what we want to make sure of is that we also have the strength to hold that same shape as best we can. What you're about to find out is that maybe you struggle with actually holding this position. So if we were to start letting our arms go off of the floor, you're going to feel your chest kind of dropping to some degree. So you just start sliding your arms out in front of you and try not to let the chest drop and feel those upper back muscles really engaging. And now just let it all go. reset yourself in the stretch. Squeeze all those muscles through the length of your spine, really flex them. And as you let your arms go, try a little harder this time, not to back bend, not to let the legs lift up, but to just use the strength of your mid and upper back to hold position. We're gonna go for 10 seconds. So here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. We're gonna do one more rep. We're gonna pull everything back. Count to 10 in your head. I'm gonna try my best effort so you can watch later on or whatever the hell. But I'll just try here. If I'm trying really hard, I can't talk at the same time. So here we go. Everything's squeezing tight. 10-second count starts now. Can you get your hands right off the floor, arms right off of the floor? 3, 2, 1, and let it all go. Nice, awesome, you guys. So again, hopefully that starts to kind of highlight, if it wasn't evident already, that difference between what you can do passive and what you can do active. And the whole point of your mobility practice, or as far as everything I've researched and learned so far, what will help us so much is to close up that gap between our passive and our active, bringing active close to passive as we can. So we're going to do a couple more kind of like challenges of like effort here, and then we'll finish off with like something a little bit more chill. So what we'll do is a little side plank to a crab. So your crab position, if this is too challenging for you, then I just want you to come in and out of this crab, which is lifting up the hips, letting the shoulders roll down and back. So you can just come in and out of it. But what we're going to try to challenge ourselves to is we're going to see if we can spend a couple of minutes transitioning from a single arm plank into a single arm crab. So if you guys set yourselves up in a plank, you can watch me first and then we'll all do it together. I'm going to cross a leg and I'm just going to gently rotate and lift. And when I come back, I'm going to sweep that leg through and I'll just try to hold that single arm plank and then drop my hand down. Foot sweeps through, I'll rotate and I'll reach, big stretch through the chest, trying to twist the full length of my spine. Hips lift up, tailbone tucking, and then I'll come back to that plank position. So here we go. We're gonna work for a couple minutes here, you guys. If you can last through this whole thing, awesome. If not, no big deal. Remember, you can just practice your crab raises if you like. So, foot sweeps through, opposite arm comes off. We'll rotate and lift into that crab raise. Foot sweeps through. Just pause for a second in that one arm plank if you can. Arm comes down. Foot sweeps through. Opposite arm comes off the ground. Hips lift up and tuck. Shoulder opens up. Foot sweeps through. Pause in a one arm plank. Arm drops down. And just keep moving through this. I'm obviously suffering. Hopefully you can't hear me farting. Trying to take my deep breaths as best I can. Trying to keep up with that nose breathing. Big inhales. Big exhales. We're halfway through. Oh my God. Really trying to keep shoulder blades down and back, keeping space between your ears. Wrist is pressing into the floor the whole time to try to resist the ground. You're gas pedaling your wrist through the floor, especially if you're finding a little bit of irritation in that joint. We'll get in one more rep each direction before I pass out from exhaustion. lift, hips up high, squeeze butt, follow through, hold that side plank, and come down. Wicked, you guys. You probably all did better than I, so congratulations. Last little challenge that we'll do here is a little push-up challenge where we're gonna try to feel a stretch through our chest as we lower into the push-up. We're gonna get that stretch, or the best one we can, by making sure that the shoulders stay down and that the shoulders stay back, okay, to really open up the chest line. So that's where our work at doing that little like John Woo, that little shoulder thing, kind of comes into play in a bigger movement, this push-up. And on top of that, we'll just try to add in some work for pulling our arm behind us and being able to bend at the elbow. So again, I'll demo for you guys really quick, and then you guys can all follow along as best you can. So here's what's gonna happen. You can do these from the knees or from a plank. We're gonna drop down into a push-up. It's gonna last 10 seconds, shoulders down and back. When we're at the bottom, we're gonna try to lift our forearms straight up and extend the elbows. Reach as high up in the air as you can. Rebend the elbows, place the hands down, and we'll just pop up really quick, okay? So we're spending 10 seconds lowering in each of these push-ups. And let's just see how well we manage here. So everybody is in their push-up position. Again, knees or plank is fine. Shoulders down and back, and here we go. Try to feel a stretch in your chest. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pull the forearms straight up off of the floor. Try not to let the fingers scrape. Straighten out the elbow and reach the arm as far backwards as you can. Rebend the elbow, holding them back. Palms on the floor. Pop back up. Try to keep that tailbone tucked while you guys drop down. Here we go again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift, straighten out, rebend, press back up. And again, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift, straighten out, rebend, pop up, and again, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift, straighten out. Really try to pull the shoulder down and back while you reach wrist high. Keep the elbows up while the wrists come back. Pop up. Only 5 more times, you guys. 10, 9, 8, that was a joke. 7, 6, this is the last rep. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift, straighten out, rebend, pop up. Nice, you guys. That was super tough. I keep saying that. None of this is easy. Hopefully some of it is a little bit easier for you guys. Last thing we're going to do here is we're just going to play around with taking our spine through some different ranges of motion. So if you guys have a little mat, you can lay it out. You can actually stand for this one. Unfortunately, I'm in my little dungeon right now. So when I try to reach my arms overhead, I can't bring them to the ceiling. So I'm going to do mine from like a kneeling position here. And maybe I'll just adjust my camera a little bit. But again, you guys could stand up for this. If you have a yoga block or something kind of hard to squeeze onto, awesome. Hold on to, that's wicked. And if not, you can just have your hands kind of spaced out and that's fine. but having something to squeeze will just help build some tension. So here's what we're going to do. Maybe I'll face sideways. We're going to be rounding, just like that little whip that we did closer to the start of the class, one piece at a time, like a slinky, from the first coil to the last one. And if you guys are standing, you'll be able to reach right down to the floor. Maybe you'll be able to kind of reach through your legs. If you guys are kneeling, you can just try to thread between the legs. So we'll flex, we'll come up, and then from the bottom up, we'll try to extend or back bend. So that's one. And then two is, after flexing and back bending, we're going to bring the arms overhead. We're going to side bend, and we're going to twist the opposite direction. We'll side bend and twist the opposite direction. So here we go. Doing your best to follow along. Chin tucks to chest, roll the neck, roll the upper back, mid back, and lower back. And now keep everything rounded. Flatten out the lower back first, then the mid back, then the upper back, then the neck. Reach the pillow in front of you, back bend from the lower back, mid back, upper back, and neck. Come back upright, arms reach overhead. We'll side bend and twist back to center. Side bend and twist back to center. Chin tucks, upper back rounds, mid back, lower back, thread through legs or reach to floor. Straighten out the lower back, mid back, upper back, reach, back bend low, mid, upper back, neck. Come on to that, overhead, side bend, and try to rotate, back to center, side bend, and try to rotate, back to center. I'm just going to switch out legs. If you're kneeling like me, do the same. If not, if you're standing, just keep rolling with it. Maybe I'll give you a side view here. I'm still trying to tuck that tail between my legs, just like before. Chin to chest, neck rounds, upper back rounds, mid back rounds, lower back rounding, and reach, lower back straightening. Keeping the stomach engaged like we learned in that cobra position as we lift mid back, upper back, neck backwards. Straighten out, arms reaching overhead, try to keep the elbows straight, try to keep chin packed in the neck. And I'll side bend, twist opposite direction, take out the twist, take out the side bend, twist opposite direction, take out the twist, take out the side bend. Chin tucks, upper back, mid back, and lower back. Keep the tail tucked, flatten out the lower back, mid back, upper back, and neck. Reach, arching, bending backwards through low, mid, upper back, neck. Let that stuff straighten out. Reach overhead, side bend, and twist. Untwist, unside bend, twist, take out the twist, take out the side bend. Whew. My God. Okay. Is everybody dead?
That was tough.
Was that challenging?
Yeah.
Good.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Very good.
Nice, you guys. If you have questions, I'll hang out on here for another minute. You can unmute yourselves, or you can just use that little chat thing on the side, and I'm happy to answer questions. If you guys have comments, suggestions, anything like that at all. We're gonna hang out again on Friday at 1 o'clock, and we're gonna work for just kind of like 15, 20 minutes. We'll just do a little teaser, almost like a warm-up. So hopefully you guys can make it for that. But it's awesome to see you guys. These last two classes have been wicked. I was actually nervous to say hi to everybody. It's been so long.
I appreciate you telling Tracy it's normal to fart during this stuff.
What's that?
I said, I appreciate the fact that you told Tracy that you were recording. It got me trouble.
Did she hide out?
No, well, she was about to give me trouble. But,
yeah, it's totally awesome to see you guys. Hope I get to see you all again soon.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Well,
Oh, you never know how to disconnect this thing.
Thanks, Danny.
Oh,
Bye.
there we
Yeah,
go.
no problem. Take care. It's great to see you.
Good to see you too.
The end.
I don't know. Maybe top? The top?
Right there, maybe no.
Thanks, Craig.
Where? Oh, down there.
yeah, bottom right. Okay. Oh. See you, Jenny.